In 539 BCE, the Achaemenid Empire under the leadership of Cyrus II defeated the Babylonian Empire led by Nabonidus, so that the Babylonian region entered the Persian Empire, including Palestine. In 538 BCE, Emperor Cyrus the Great issued an edict allowing the Jews exiled by Babylon to return to their homeland and rebuild the Temple of God in Jerusalem. In 520 BCE, the physical construction of the Zerubbabel Temple, or also known as the Second Holy Temple, began under the support of King Darius the Great. In 530 to 330 BCE, the Kedarites, who were descendants of the prophet Ishmael and descended to the prophet Muhammad, had a very strong political and trade influence in the Hijaz, Negev, Transjordan, Hasmonean Kingdom of Jordan, and the eastern Mediterranean, including Egypt and Palestine, which can also be marked from coin minting. They are alone in Gaza. In 332 BCE, King Alexander the Great of Macedon took control of Palestine during a massive conquest that covered much of the Middle East and surrounding areas. At that time, the city of Jerusalem surrendered without resistance, and Alexander was well received by the people of Jerusalem. In 323 to 63 BCE, Palestine enters the Hellenistic period. This started when King Alexander the Great died. During this time, Antiochus, the ruler, attacked the Temple of Jerusalem and confiscated its treasures. This he did on his return from Egypt, bringing victory and booty. In addition, he also banned Judaism in Judea and permitted the worship of idols in the Jerusalem temple. It was also during this period that the Seleucid rulers gave space to the high priests of the Hasmonean dynasty for their influence in reviving the existence of the Kingdom of Judea, where previously the Maccabees had rebelled, and after that the Hasmoneans destroyed the temples and cities, such as Shechem and Scythopolis. In the end, in this period, the Kingdom of Judea completely lost its existence after a civil war occurred between the Hasmonean dynasty due to struggles over leadership succession, as well as conflicts between Jewish communities who were for and against Hellenization. In 63 BCE, Roman troops occupied Palestine under the leadership of Pompey. In 57 to 54 BCE, Scythopolis, Bet-Shean, was rebuilt by the Roman governor Gabinius. The name Scythopolis comes from the Scythian tribe who, according to some historical accounts, were settled in the city by King Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire in the 3rd century BCE. In 40 BCE, the Parthians invaded Judea, captured Jerusalem, and installed Antigonus II Mattathias of the Hasmonean dynasty as king of Judea to serve as a political puppet. In 37 BCE, Herod the Great conquers Judea with the help of Roman and Jewish troops. Antigonus II Mattathias, who had barricaded himself in the city, is beheaded by Mark Antony. In 31 BCE, a powerful earthquake occurs in Judea. In 27 to 10 BCE, King Herod, who was of Jewish descent, built palaces, forts, cities, and infrastructure, as well as expanding the temple area and completely renovating the Zerubbabel's temple, until it was finally better known as Herod's temple. In 7 BCE, Herod executed his two sons, Alexander and Aristobulus, who had Hasmonean blood from his wife Mariamne, because he was afraid that his two sons would coup him from the throne due to their popularity among the Jews. In 6 BCE, the prophet Yahya, John the Baptist, was born, which was followed 6 months later by the birth of the prophet Isha, Jesus, by the Virgin Mary, Miriam. The birth of Jesus is commemorated by Christians every December 25, known as Christmas Day. In 5 BCE, the prophet Zechariah was killed by Herod because he refused to reveal the whereabouts of his hidden son, John. At that time, Herod brutally massacred many children aged 2 years and under, due to the prophecy of the Messiah who had been born. According to Macrobius, the famous Roman writer, this was the real reason King Herod killed his son. He also said, on hearing that the son of Herod, king of the Jews, had been slain when Herod ordered that all boys in Syria, including Palestine, under the age of 2 be killed, Augustus said, "It's better to be Herod's pig than his son." In 4 BCE, Herod dies, and a wave of unrest sweeps Palestine. In 6 CE, Jewish and Samaritan leaders asked Augustus to remove Herod Archelaus from the throne. He complied and Archelaus was deposed and exiled. Its territory, consisting of Judea, Samaria, and Idumea, was organized into the Roman district of Iudea. In this year, the first Roman census was carried out in Judea. In 20 CE, Tiberias in the Galilee was founded by Herod Antipas, one of Herod the Great's successors. In 30 CE, Prophet Yahya or John the Baptist was beheaded by King Herod Antipas, ruler of Galilee and Perea. In 33 CE, the Jewish religious leaders and their followers chased Jesus, who they wanted to kill. In the view of the canonical Gospels, Jesus was ultimately arrested and crucified on Mount Golgotha in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, according to the Quran, a person resembling Jesus, Prophet Isa, was crucified. Meanwhile, according to the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Barnabas, it was Judas Iscariot who was crucified, not Jesus. In 41 CE, Agrippa I became king of part of the Herodian kingdom, which in 6 CE had been divided by Herod's sons. In 44 CE, Herod Agrippa I, Herod the Great's grandson, died, so Judea came under direct Roman rule. In 62 to 64 CE, the completion of the renovation of the Jerusalem temple, which had begun since Herod came to power. In 66 to 70 CE, there was a Jewish rebellion against the Romans, where the Romans finally captured Jerusalem and destroyed the Second Temple. The remains of the retaining wall from Herod's temple are now known as the Wailing Wall, which is highly revered by the Jews. In 71 CE, Province Judea is established. In 106 CE, the Romans annexed Nabatean territory, reorganizing it as the province of Arabia. In 130 CE, Emperor Hadrian founded a Roman colony, Aelia Capitolina, in Jerusalem and erected a temple for the worship of the god Jupiter on the ruins of the Second Temple. This sparked the Bar Kokhba Revolt, which occurred in 132 to 135 CE. In 132 CE, the mention of the Palestinian region as Syria Palestina began to occur, which was probably because the Syrian and Palestinian territories were under Roman rule. This continued until 390 CE. However, since Hellenistic times, the Palestinian region has often been referred to simply as Syria. In 195 CE, the bishops of Caesarea and Jerusalem, Theophilus and Narcissus, preside over a council in Caesarea to settle a growing dispute over the proper date of the celebration of Easter. In 222 CE, Caesarea becomes the metropolitan see for Palestine. In 270 CE, Queen Zenobia of the Kingdom of Palmyra, Syria, conquered most of the Roman East, including Palestine. In 272 CE, Palestine was recaptured by Rome from the hands of the Queen of Palmyrene Empire, Batsabai aka Septimia Zenobia.